Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again, another Transformers Prime reaction for you guys. This is Season 1, Episode 3, Darkness Rising, Part 3. Now, the first two episodes have been pretty interesting so far. I've been critical about the kids, but I'm still being optimistic and hopeful that I will turn around. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. But I like the story they're developing, and especially at the end with Megatron stabbing himself after they've already tested the Dark Energon on Cliffjumper, who was voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They tested that Dark Energon crystal, and it brought him back to life. Cliffjumper was alive, but he was a zombie transformer, basically. It was a zombie. And then at the end, we see Megatron stab himself. I don't know what that's going to do. Like, what is, like, how is it, like, what's the effects going to be on a living transformer instead of a dead one? Because it brought Cliff back to life. I have no idea. It's interesting, though, right? And then it's a good way to kind of end the episode. I think there was something else before that part, but still pretty interesting in terms of like what they're developing with these first two episodes, and the action has been pretty good as well. And they're trying, you know, to really push these kid characters and have them have a connection to some of the Autobots and everything. So we'll see. So let's dive in. Part 3 of Darkness Rising. Let's see what they do with this episode, guys. I'm curious and I'm excited. Let's go.
Hey, what's with you, RC?
Playing a video game? Of course. Oh yeah, and the little robot, I forgot. The little robot.
House guests can be such a bother. Optimus.
Thank you.
Now, what could have caused that?
I have a grave suspicion, Ratchet.
Lord Megatron.
I now know what I must do.
Do what?
And what can I do?
Where's he going exactly?
Megatron has not been of sound judgment since his
Be careful, he might turn on you.
Increased global surveillance.
If the residue RC found on Cliffjumper brought your broken equipment to life,
It did.
Dark Energon? It's so scarce as to be virtually non-existent.
They found a lot.
What would it be doing on Earth?
by raising an army of the undead.
They're all having fun while shit's been going down.
RC, we'll be outside communications range for some time, so I'm putting you in charge.
Playing bodyguard is one thing, babysitting's another. Besides, Ratchet hasn't been in the field since the war.
Much has changed in the last 24 hours.
A lot has changed,
and
yes.
We all need to adapt.
And they're gone.
Okay, Chief. So, what's on the activities list?
Bulkhead, you're in charge.
You're in charge, Bulkhead. And they're gone.
Band practice.
Band
But
practice?
We're not a band. Why so antisocial? Come on, Raph. Cover yourself in fake blood and jump around screaming.
Fake blood?
Bulkhead. Percussion.
This is a ballad?
You can't handle raw power?
That's
Proximity
not,
sensor.
no.
Quick, hide! He's out pancaking a mini-mall. Now, I don't know what language you bots speak on your planet. You tell Prime. Since when are you bots electric?
Hey, how
Hi.
you doing?
Contact with civilians. Team Prime. You're running a daycare center.
A daycare.
Okay.
We're interns.
Taking all three of you into federal custody. It's
What?
for your own protection.
What?
Don't use that phone. It's
Out of order.
This isn't over, Bigfoot.
I mean, I figured he was going to learn about the kids that being there eventually. Pretty cool looking location. I'll give you that. He flies himself out there, okay.
Agent Fowler, I'm en route from the Autobot base. I'll brief you in person.
Shit.
Autobot base.
This is not good.
What in Uncle Sam's beer?
What? Maybe if you wouldn't have said anything on the radio, maybe they wouldn't have found you. Yep.
Never an Autobot around when you actually need one.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured he wasn't gonna get out of it. There's no way he was gonna get out of that.
But we lost the transmission. Fowler could be anywhere.
Could be,
Maybe I
but
can narrow it down. If I can hack into the Fed's mainframe, maybe I can.
of course he can
pinpoint
hack
Fowler's
into the. Of
coordinates.
course he can.
You
Okay.
know how to hack?
Any friend of the Autobots?
Autobot. That one of them coin-operated, wash-my-own-car places?
Jack, you're in charge.
Everyone keeps putting other people in charge.
Miko?
She went with him. Yep, she did.
All right. What's the plan?
Miko.
Yeah, just stand there and keeps looking at it. Kicking ass.
Hold him still.
Okay, I gotta admit that was pretty good. Come on, you got this.
Miko, look away.
Yes, I'm listening.
I got an issue with the customer service around here. Can I speak to the manager?
I am in charge.
I mean, I guess, but not really, no.
Rod.
They're here.
Why don't those guys hang with their own bots?
Yeah.
You there.
Scrap.
The Autobot base.
The Autobot price.
Buddy. Right after you eat my Star-Spangled Shorts.
Wow. What? And he's there. Mm-hmm.
Optimus. I know why you're here, Megatron. Hardly a surprise, Optimus.
Wow. Oh, come on. And there you have it, guys. Part 3 of Darkness Rising. And it seems we're getting a part 4 because it says to be continued again. I don't know. I was like, okay, how are they going to end this? Because I honestly thought that there was more in the episode to go, like in terms of runtime. Like, it's like, okay, there's some more time because the army's rising. No. To be continued. We end on the rising of the Dark Energon army, the zombie army. So that is Megatron's plan, or at least that's what they think his plan is. Like, that's what their assumption is based off the Dark Energon. Because I honestly forgot that little robot when I was talking about the intro and everything. When I was making the intro and talking about the last episode, I forgot about that little robot that was basically turned and revived essentially at the end of episode 2, because it wasn't the Dark Energon that, you know, Megatron stuck himself with. That wasn't the actual ending part. It was that little robot. But still, here we are, right? And the army's rising, and then we cut. So their assumption is that's what Megatron's. I think there might be more to Megatron's plan than what they assume, because this is only episode 3 of at least season 1. There's 3 seasons of this show. And I think someone said there's like a movie or something afterwards. I don't know. I think I saw somebody talk about that. But so 3 episodes in, their assumption is, okay, he has Dark Energon to bring forth an army to take over the planet. But maybe there's more to this plan than they know, because they don't know maybe the full scope of what Megatron's trying to do. And the fact is, Starscream thinks that Megatron is like lost his marbles, essentially, because he's seeming kind of strange. It's like, well, Megatron probably has more than he's willing to admit or reveal to anybody else. He's been gone, at least for a bit, from what we understand in the show timeline. So coming back, I mean, the fact is, too, he's trying to run shit. He was kind of running shit, and then Megatron returns. I honestly didn't, like I said, I said before, I didn't expect Megatron to return in episode 1. Like, I didn't expect him to return that fast. Because we were talking about the character. I'm like, okay, we're going to see Megatron in a bit. Not in episode 1, and we did. Interesting. So, everyone kept getting, like, the role of like, basically, you're in charge and shit. And that was pretty funny in terms of, like, Megatron saying, RC, you're in charge. Bulkhead, you're in charge. Then it's like, Jack, you're in charge. And then no one was there to help Bumblebee and RC get to the location where Bulkhead is. So, you know, everybody's just kind of like in a spread like situation where Megatron is raising his army with Optimus Prime, and I forget the other bot's name. Let's look here, because I actually have the in here. I think it's Ratchet. Is it? No, maybe that's not Ratchet on. Maybe I should mute this. Let's see. Maybe it is Ratchet. I think it is Ratchet. But anyways, but and then we have, you know, like I said, Bumblebee and RC separated, and they can't just get over to where they are because there's no one there at the base to bring them back with the portal thing and then send them back over there because Jack decided to go with Raph to go over there. Of course. Let's talk about the kids of the episode a little bit. Let's talk about the kids for a little bit. I think the opening of the episode in terms of them kind of bonding with their significant other in terms of like their Autobot was a nice touch because it shows, okay, outside of them constantly just being, I mean, they're there to watch them, but RC's trying to like have Jack enjoy riding on a motorcycle essentially in terms of like him actually like, because he's telling his mom he owns it, like he bought this motorcycle, so he needs to know at least how to pretend how to actually drive and operate a motorcycle, right? Seeing Raph play with Bumblebee as a video game, that was pretty fun. I have something else to talk about Raph in a second, but Miko, I think, is also an interesting in terms of her and Bulkhead, because they're interesting kind of characters to put together in terms of like the protection and everything, and they're going to bond over time. At least that's the idea. Back to Raph, I feel Raph just being 12 and a quarter, like basically 12 years old, and he can just do all this shit, like he could hack all this shit. I understand there's kid shows that have these things where there are kids or characters that can just do stuff that it's just so convenient for the show, so convenient for the plot. And that's what it kind of feels like at points. Like Raph is just kind of there conveniently to make things easier. Because we have Agent Fowler who gets kidnapped, and the connection, like whatever, like the actual like connection and the location was inaccurate, it wasn't completed. He's able just to hack and just be able to find there's a chip inside Agent Fowler so we can just track him. It's just convenient for the story. Like they couldn't have found, like to me at least, they couldn't have found a more interesting way to maybe find his location, right? Instead of like, oh, he can just magically pull out his laptop. Because I feel like that's just lazy. Just to be honest, it's lazy to kind of have this 12-year-old kid, and we don't know much about him, and all of a sudden he can just magically, we've been seeing this since the beginning of the show, that he can just magically just fix shit and magically do stuff just because the plot needs him to, so we can further along the story. I feel like there should be something more interesting they could have done in this moment in terms of finding Agent Fowler's location. Just something, right? But they went this route. I think it's too easy to do. The kid characters, I mean, I think it's hard to get a read on them. Like they're a part of the narrative. They have lines. They have things to do in these episodes, but it's hard to really care for them in a sense because the majority of the show, yes, they're involved in a lot of the scenes with the Autobots, but like the real focus is Optimus. The real focus is the actual Autobots and the Decepticons. Like the focus is the robots, right? I think more in lines of like when you watch like a MonsterVerse film from Legendary, and you're watching, especially like Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, and there's more and more of the monsters and less of the humans. Like people only went to go see Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire and Godzilla vs. Kong because of the monsters. No one cared about the humans. So I think it's kind of hard for me, at least as someone who's watching the show and overall enjoying the experience in terms of the storytelling they're telling with the Autobots and the Decepticons and the history, and like there's like this battlefield they're at or whatever in this episode, and the army's rising, the army of the dead. It's all fascinating. It's hard to care about the humans because literally they're making the robots really like compelling and interesting characters, some getting more attention than others. And that's what's really making me enjoy the show. The kids are just kind of there, right? They're kind of there. And take her to leave it. Honestly, I'd prefer to leave it because I just want to focus just like, honestly, only seeing 3 episodes. Because I can't speak for when I see all 3 seasons, when I get through the entire show. But as I'm going along, if the kids were not in the show, I think it would make it better for me, because then it's all the Autobots, all Decepticons, all the time. And there's no worrying about the protection of kids. I feel like it was just a way for young kids to maybe try to find a connection with one of the characters, or at least see themselves with these robots, with the characters, right? Like they see themselves as this, they see themselves as Raph or Jack or Miko. So maybe that's why they're in the show, is that you can have a connect. And I know throughout the entire history of Transformers, they've had characters, like human characters with the Autobots and stuff like that. I get that, but still, that's where my head's at a little bit in terms of. I think that's why they're in this iteration, is that we could just focus on just the Transformers. We could focus on just the bots. But let's throw in some kids, because it's a kids show. Like, it's, you know, it's decent storytelling. It's pretty solid storytelling. But it's also a kids show for kids to hopefully enjoy and buy more Transformer toys. So I think this is definitely an interesting episode. I don't think it's definitely the weakest episode in my personal opinion. In terms of the first three that we've seen so far, but there are some definitely high points in terms of like Starscream interacting with Agent Fowler, and then the Army of the Dead rising in terms of our Dark Energon, and a lot of the interaction with the actual Autobots and the Decepticons, like just like some of the dialogue, definitely interesting. So I'm curious to see where Part 4 goes, because there's a lot of directions they could go with this episode, because I think literally with them ending on this big cliffhanger, you got to pick up in Part 4. You got to, at least that's the hope, right? But yeah, so before we wrap up, I do want to apologize in a sense, because there are a number of people that have been commenting saying you're gonna grow to like the kids, and you know, just give it time. I do apologize if it seems like I'm just kind of, you know, hammering the point down of where I'm not really connecting with the kids. I just have to be honest, because if I pretend that I'm liking them and I honestly don't, you're going to be able to tell over time I'm lying, and that, oh, he actually doesn't like the kids. He's just saying that so, you know, we can enjoy the reactions better. I have to just be honest with you. And that's always been my biggest thing, is to be honest with you guys. So that's why I'm making it a big point to discuss it in the intro and in the review portions, because it's a factor of the show. It's a part of the show, and I have to be honest when I like and don't like something. Like, I feel like that is, to me, an honest person, an honest reactor in a sense, discussing a show and watching episodes and discussing what they like and what they enjoy, and also what they don't like or not connecting with, and they feel like they need to address. Because there's been a number of content creators out there that are reactors that don't address things they don't like, because they don't want to get into the negativity and they don't want to have drama in the comments. I'm not saying this to cause drama, just being honest. It's just me. But in terms of what they're setting up, as we're continuing to set up, because we're still getting parts, I'm enjoying overall what they're doing. So ultimately, that is what matters at the end of the day. I'm interested to see where they take the story. And to me, that's the most important thing, because if I wasn't enjoying the show overall, regardless of some of my problems here and there in terms of certain characters, and, you know, just not everything being amazing, but still I'm enjoying overall thing, that's good, because if I wasn't, then I wouldn't continue the show. Just to be honest, I wouldn't continue it. I understand that if people are still watching at this point, not many people are. Like, people drop off after the reaction is done for the most part. People might say, well, with you saying that means you dropped Generator Rex because you stopped enjoying the show. I just don't have the time, unfortunately. Like, unfortunately, you can't do everything, unfortunately. But I'm trying to find a way to bring that show back, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Can't wait to jump into part 4 next week. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.